My untamed desire for sleeping around was going to be tested. Desire is a peculiar beast. It takes on many forms, constantly morphing, evolving. Some say desire can be controlled, tamed, reined in. But mine was like a wildfire, unpredictable and all-consuming. It didn't discriminate. It didn't hold back. Each man was a chapter, a unique story in the chronicles of my yearnings. There was David, the poet. He had a way with words that wasn't merely expressive, it was transformative. Our rendezvous were less about physical connection and more about souls entwining, dancing in a duet of whispered confessions and shared dreams. With him, I was exposed, my desires laid bare in a way I hadn't felt before. Then came Ethan, the banker, tall, chiseled, and exuding a power that was both intimidating and intoxicating. With him, there were no words, just raw, primal passion. We met in hotel rooms, in stolen moments away from prying eyes. He offered no emotional comfort, but he understood my cravings, my need to feel alive, to feel something more than the mundane. Lucas was different. A scientist always lost in thoughts, his world dominated by logic and reason. But beneath that facade was a man full of wonder and curiosity. He taught me the art of patience, of slow discoveries. With him, every touch was an experiment, every moan a conclusion to a hypothesis. But among them, there was something, or rather someone, truly special. Alejandro, the traveller. He spoke of distant lands, of cultures, of tastes and sounds I could only dream of. With him, every encounter was a journey. The back streets of Venice, the sands of the Sahara, the peaks of the Andes, all explored from the confines of dimly lit rooms, guided only by his whispers and the rhythm of our heartbeats. Each man was an escape, a portal to a world I yearned for but could never fully inhabit. My encounters, though numerous and diverse, were not about them. They were about me, my insatiable need, my thirst that seemed impossible to quench. But the chase, the pursuit of these desires, it came at a cost. With every tryst, I lost a part of myself, leaving behind fragments that I would never reclaim. And as time wore on, the faces began to blur, the stories began to merge until they became indistinguishable. It wasn't merely about physical satisfaction. It was the yearning for something intangible, elusive, a yearning for understanding, for validation, for love in its truest, rawest form. The chains of my desires, once symbols of my freedom, had become my shackles. Every encounter was a reminder of what I had and what I perpetually sought, a love that remained forever out of reach. Life has a peculiar way of catching up, you know. One minute you're chasing desires, and the next, the reality stands at your doorstep, demanding to be acknowledged. It was on a drizzling Wednesday evening that Chris came home with the news. He had been feeling weak for weeks, subtle moments where his strength seemed to betray him, where his laughter wasn't as hearty as I remembered. I had been too engrossed in my world to notice. But that evening, with a pale face and trembling hands, Chris handed me a medical report. The diagnosis was written in cold, clinical terms: advanced stage leukemia. I remember the room spinning. The weight of the paper seemed incongruous to the enormity of its implications. Chris, my constant, my rock through my whirlwind of escapades, was battling for his life. The irony wasn't lost on me. While I was out seeking ephemeral pleasures, the true treasure, the love that had always been by my side, was slowly slipping away. Chris, in all his gentleness, tried to comfort me, Can you believe it? Even in his pain, his concern was for my well-being. "We'll fight this together," he whispered, pulling me into a tight embrace. The warmth of his hug, the familiar scent of his cologne, suddenly everything became overwhelmingly real. And amidst this reality, a deep-seated guilt began to gnaw at me. The days that followed were a blur. Hospital visits, chemotherapy sessions, medical consultations. Our lives, once filled with plans of vacations and dreams of the future, now revolved around medical jargon and bleak statistics. In those cold, sterile hospital rooms, watching Chris battle his ailment with a quiet resilience, the gravity of my transgressions bore down on me. Each whispered assurance from him felt like a dagger, each tender touch a reminder of my betrayal. His love for me, steadfast and unwavering, stood in stark contrast to my infidelities. The man who should have been my sole focus, my only love, was now fighting a battle, and all I could think of were the faces, the names, the stolen moments of passion. The weight of remorse laced every word. Chris's health, his battle, put everything in perspective. The pursuits, the desires, the passions, they all paled in comparison to the love we shared, to the memories we built. And as he slept, breathing softly beside me, all I could pray for was a chance to right my wrongs, to be the partner he deserved.
This is chapter 4 of a 6-part short story. The next chapter is chapter 5. If you like this chapter and would like to hear the other 5 chapters or more stories of love, betrayal, cheating, and candid confessions like this one, please make sure you subscribe to the Romance Diaries on YouTube.